Most shiny lips don't look shiny in drawings. Even when everything is correct, the shine still feels wrong. You add highlights, refine edges, and nothing clicks. In this video, you'll learn how to create wet, realistic shine using smart layering, controlled texture, and one tool most artists don't use properly. So let's get started. Now that you already have a solid three-dimensional base, this is where the shine comes in. Before doing anything, you need to know where the light is coming from. In this case, the light is hitting from the top right, so the upper edge of the lip is where the shine will be strongest. To create that, start by adding thin highlight strokes between the darker ones using a mono zero eraser. As you move toward the left side, start reducing pressure so the transition stays soft and natural. Now it's time to add texture by placing small dots over the previous highlights using an electric eraser. Make sure to keep the tip clean and sharp so the dots stay crisp, and extend them slightly downward following the natural curve of the lip. You will see that some highlights start to merge, so instead of adding more white, you can separate them with a 2H pencil. This keeps the highlights thin and clean. You can always add a few extra dots for detail if required. Then layer subtle jelly roll highlights to make the edge really catch light. Make sure you only use the jelly roll where the base is clean. Don't use it over the graphite or else it will become muddy when you fix it later on using a fixative spray. Wherever you need softer and blended highlights, you can dab a kneaded eraser to lift some graphite. You can focus along the edge of the lip and keep the highlights very soft. This slight lightening immediately makes the lip feel round and three-dimensional. Because the light is hitting from the top, the upper lip will naturally reflect it too. So add clusters of dots on the upper lip with the electric eraser, and you will see how it started to look shiny. If you want to watch the full step-by-step tutorial of this drawing, you can access it for free on our Academy site. Now let's see how we can create lip texture, and for that you can use a perfection eraser and add small strokes in between the darker texture lines you already have. Make sure to keep the pressure higher in the middle of each stroke, and then reduce it as you flick up and down, so both ends stay thin and soft. This is what makes the lip texture blend naturally instead of looking stamped. Vary the length, the spacing, and the pressure, because real lip texture is irregular and subtle. You can also retouch some textural lines using the 2H pencil by going over and in between them. This layering is what makes the texture feel real. Now for that wet looking lips texture, switch to the mono zero eraser and add small dots. Focus mainly on the left side because that area has softer texture and needs more delicate highlight texture. Now for brighter accents, use the electric eraser and layer slightly bigger highlights on the right side, because this helps define the light direction. Balance is the key here. If you pack dots everywhere, the lip turns into a glitter sticker and the realism disappears. You should treat dots like seasoning. Build highlights only where the light hits, and leave the rest softer so the bright areas stand out more. Add some dots without turning the eraser on. Imagine you're placing tiny reflective beads on a curved surface. Some beads catch light strongly, some barely catch it, and the mix is what makes it believable. Now the right side of the upper lip has softer highlights, and as I said earlier, always use a perfection eraser where you need softer texture or highlights. If a harsh boundary forms between highlights, you can lightly dab a kneaded eraser to soften the edges. You can also smooth them with a clean dry brush, but avoid over blending because that can flatten the texture and remove the shine illusion. Soften only the harsh edges, but keep the highlight structure visible. Another important thing is adding a clean, bright to soft gradient using a perfection eraser. This is what gives lips form in any drawing. Without it, even the best highlights won't stop the lips from looking flat. All the reference images you need, including the grid and outline versions, are available on our Academy site to make your drawing process smoother and more structured. Now add clusters of small dots using the electric eraser. This is the tool most artists don't know how to use properly. Instead of pressing hard, you keep the tip thin, rounded, and controlled, placing each dot carefully. A lot of lips look shiny but still feel dead. That usually happens when highlights are placed randomly without thinking about where the foam actually turns. No doubt that the lip texture is subtle, but shine only appears on the raised areas. So instead of scattering dots everywhere, place them in soft stripes that follow the natural direction of the lip lines. When highlights follow the foam, the shine instantly starts to feel alive. If you place dots evenly like polka dots, the lip stops looking wet and starts looking printed. You cluster them where the shine is strongest and you let them fade and spread as you move away. The bottom edge of the lip shines too, and this is where a lot of drawings quietly fall apart. Instead of rushing in with the electric eraser, first sketch the shine using thin mono-zero strokes. Think of these as your safety lines. They show the light where to sit. Once those are in place, drop bright dots on top with the electric eraser, and the surface instantly starts to feel wet. This is where understanding light direction and surface form really pays off. Also place a few dots above the texture to soften transitions and remove harsh boundaries. A few carefully placed jelly roll highlights at the end create that wet illusion, as long as you let the texture breathe underneath. Another important thing that many artists miss is the subtle peach fuzz under the lip. This tiny detail does a lot of work in making the area feel real, instead of over-polished. You can add it using a mono-zero eraser with thin, soft strokes starting from the center and moving outward, and gradually reduce the stroke length so it stays delicate and never turns into facial hair. If needed, you can go in between sharper strokes with a 2H pencil to keep everything clean, separated, and natural. And with this last step, you now understand why shiny lips actually look shiny, not just highlighted. Shiny lips are not about one bright highlight. They're about a smooth base, controlled texture, and reflections that follow the form. And once you understand that, you can draw shiny lips on any portrait, any angle, any lighting. Also, if you are an absolute beginner and want to learn drawing from scratch, you can join our drawing course on AHR Studios Academy. It is now trusted by more than 20,000 students across 165 countries, and you can enroll today with 90% off. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.